Welcome to an exploration of utilitarianism, a philosophy that could shape the future of artificial intelligence. So what exactly is utilitarianism? In essence, it's a theory and moral philosophy that suggests the best action is the one that maximizes overall happiness or utility. It's about achieving the greatest good for the greatest number, minimizing suffering and promoting joy or satisfaction. This philosophy traces its roots back to the late 18th and early 19th centuries with two key figures, Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, leading the charge. Bentham, a forward-thinking philosopher and social reformer, was the first to introduce and formalize the concept. He proposed that our actions should aim to bring about the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. Later, John Stuart Mill, a philosopher and political economist, expanded on Bentham's ideas. Mill emphasized the quality, not just the quantity, of happiness. For him, intellectual and moral pleasures held a higher value than mere physical pleasure. Now let's delve into some key concepts. The greatest happiness principle is the cornerstone of utilitarianism. This principle asserts that actions are right if they promote happiness and wrong if they produce the reverse of happiness. But how do we measure this happiness or utility? That's where the concept of utility comes in. It's an economic term used to represent a measure of satisfaction or happiness gained from a certain action or decision. In the context of utilitarianism, utility is a way of quantifying the moral worth of an action by measuring its potential to produce happiness or prevent suffering. It's a balance, a kind of moral arithmetic that weighs the potential benefits and harms of our actions. So, why does this matter for artificial intelligence? As we'll explore, this philosophy of maximizing happiness and minimizing suffering could be a powerful tool in guiding the ethical development and deployment of AI technologies. Now let's dive into the relevance of utilitarianism to AI. In this digital era, ethical frameworks are not just philosophical debates, they are guiding principles in AI development. As we venture further into the world of artificial intelligence, the ethical considerations become increasingly significant. The development and deployment of AI technologies demand a robust ethical framework to guide decision-making processes. This is where utilitarianism steps in, providing a compass to navigate the murky waters of AI ethics. Originating from the philosophies of Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, utilitarianism is an ethical theory that holds the maximization of overall happiness and the reduction of suffering as its core principle. It's an outcome-focused approach, emphasizing the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Now you might wonder, how does this tie into AI? Well, let's think about it. AI technologies at their core are designed to make our lives better, more efficient, and more enjoyable. They're intended to create a net positive impact. This parallels the utilitarian principle of maximizing happiness and reducing suffering. So, in essence, utilitarianism provides a fitting ethical framework for AI. Consider an AI system tasked with distributing limited resources like vaccines in a pandemic. A utilitarian approach would guide the AI to optimize distribution for the greatest overall benefit, perhaps prioritizing those most at risk or most essential to societal functioning. Or take the development of self-driving cars. These vehicles must be programmed to react in potential accident scenarios. A utilitarian principle might direct the AI to minimize overall harm, even if it means sacrificing the vehicle or its passenger to save a larger number of pedestrians. But it's not all smooth sailing. Applying utilitarian ethics to AI also presents challenges. It demands a certain level of predictability in outcomes, which is not always feasible with complex AI systems, and it raises questions about how to quantify happiness or suffering, and how to ensure fair distribution of benefits and harms. Next, we will explore specific application areas of AI where utilitarian ethics come into play. Through this exploration, we'll delve deeper into the practicalities, complexities, and dilemmas of marrying utilitarianism with AI. So stay tuned, and let's continue this fascinating journey together. Privacy, a fundamental human right, is a significant concern in the AI domain. But where do we draw the line? Let's delve into the intricacies of privacy in the context of artificial intelligence. As we know, AI systems thrive on data. The more information these systems have, the better they can learn, adapt, and improve. This is where our first hypothetical scenario comes in. Imagine a smart home device that learns your daily routines to improve energy efficiency and comfort. To do this, it needs to collect and analyze vast amounts of data about your habits and preferences. From a utilitarian perspective, this seems like a win-win situation. The individual enjoys a more convenient, energy-efficient lifestyle and the collective benefits from the reduction in energy consumption. But what happens when this data collection infringes upon personal privacy? Consider this. The same smart home device could potentially record private conversations, track personal habits, or even deduce sensitive information about health status. If this data falls into the wrong hands, it could be used in ways that cause harm, such as identity theft or targeted advertising. This brings us to the crux of the issue. How do we strike a balance between the potential benefits of AI and the protection of individual privacy? One possible approach is to apply the utilitarian principle of maximizing happiness and minimizing suffering. In this context, we could say that the happiness derived from the benefits of AI should outweigh any potential harm caused by privacy breaches. This means we must carefully weigh the advantages of AI against privacy concerns and implement safeguards to minimize potential harm. Let's illustrate this with another hypothetical scenario. Suppose an AI healthcare system uses patient data to predict and prevent diseases. The system could save countless lives, but at the same time it would have access to extremely sensitive personal data. In this case, the potential benefits are enormous. But so are the risks. Applying utilitarian ethics would involve rigorous data protection measures, ensuring that the data is used solely for its intended purpose, and that privacy breaches are kept to an absolute minimum. However, it's important to note that the application of utilitarian principles in such scenarios is not without its challenges. Privacy is subjective and context-dependent, and what may seem like a minor privacy concern to one person could be a major issue for another. And although utilitarianism focuses on the greatest good for the greatest number, it's crucial to remember that the rights of the individual shouldn't be disregarded. In the realm of AI, the conversation about privacy is ongoing and complex. As we continue to explore and push the boundaries of what AI can do, we must also continue to question and refine our ethical frameworks. Navigating the complex terrain of privacy requires a thoughtful approach. Now, let's turn to another contentious area: surveillance. Surveillance, often powered by AI, can be a double-edged sword. It can safeguard communities, but at what cost? This question reflects the utilitarian dilemma we face when we consider the ethics of AI in surveillance. To start, let's consider the benefits. Artificial intelligence has revolutionized surveillance, making our world safer in many ways. AI-powered surveillance systems can process vast amounts of data in real time, identifying potential threats and enabling swift responses. In a world where security threats are increasingly complex and unpredictable, such capabilities are invaluable. From a utilitarian perspective, these systems maximize the overall happiness by ensuring safety and security for the maximum number of people. However, it's not all rosy. The flip side of this coin is the potential infringement on personal freedoms. AI surveillance can be intrusive, monitoring our activities, movements, and even emotions. This raises serious ethical questions about the right to privacy and freedom from unwarranted scrutiny. The potential for misuse of these technologies, either by governments or malicious actors, is a grave concern. From a utilitarian standpoint, these issues could lead to a decrease in overall happiness, as fear and mistrust undermine our sense of security and freedom. So how do we strike a balance between these opposing concerns? One possible solution is regulation. Governments and international bodies can implement laws and guidelines to govern the use of AI in surveillance, ensuring it's used responsibly and transparently. This could help to maximize the benefits of AI surveillance while minimizing its potential harms. Yet even with regulation, we still face the challenge of predicting outcomes. The effects of surveillance are complex and far-reaching, and it's often impossible to accurately predict the long-term consequences of these technologies. For instance, could the pervasive use of AI surveillance lead to a chilling effect on free speech or stifle creativity? How would that impact societal happiness? Moreover, the distribution of benefits and harms is not always equal. While some may benefit from enhanced security, others may bear the brunt of increased surveillance, leading to a potential imbalance in the distribution of happiness and suffering. As we grapple with these issues, it's important to remember that utilitarianism is not the only ethical lens through which we can view AI surveillance. Other ethical frameworks like deontology or virtue ethics may offer valuable insights and alternative solutions to these dilemmas. In conclusion, the utilitarian analysis of AI in surveillance is a complex one. While AI surveillance can contribute to societal safety and security, it also has the potential to infringe on personal freedoms and privacy. Striking a balance between these opposing concerns is a significant challenge, one that requires careful thought, rigorous debate, and robust regulation. As we can see, the question of surveillance is not black and white. Now, let's explore AI in decision-making. AI is increasingly involved in critical decision-making processes, but how can we ensure it's making the right choices? Let's dive into the heart of this question by envisioning a future where artificial intelligence plays a pivotal role in our lives, making decisions that directly impact us. In this future, AI systems could be determining who gets a loan, diagnosing medical conditions, or even deciding who gets parole. The stakes are high, and the decisions made by these systems have profound implications for individuals and society at large. Now consider the utilitarian perspective. The fundamental premise of utilitarianism is to maximize happiness and minimize suffering. If applied to AI, this would mean that AI systems should make decisions that result in the greatest good for the greatest number of people. But how do we translate this abstract principle into concrete AI algorithms? One way is through the concept of utility functions. These are mathematical representations of preferences, and they could guide an AI system to make decisions that maximize overall utility. For example, in the context of medical diagnosis, an AI system could be programmed to maximize the overall health and well-being of patients, taking into account not only the accuracy of the diagnosis, but also factors like the patient's quality of life. However, determining the right utility function is a challenge. It requires careful consideration of the values and priorities of the society in which the AI operates. Moreover, these values and priorities might not be the same for everyone, adding another layer of complexity. Another aspect to consider is the potential bias in AI decision-making. We've seen cases where AI systems trained on biased data have perpetuated or even amplified existing inequalities. From a utilitarian perspective, this is clearly problematic. It goes against the principle of maximizing the overall good and minimizing harm. To address this, we need to ensure that AI systems are trained on fair and representative data, and that they are regularly audited for bias. Finally, we need to consider the distribution of benefits and harms. Utilitarianism doesn't inherently guarantee a fair distribution. An AI system could, in theory, make decisions that benefit a large number of people slightly while severely harming a small number of people. To avoid this, we could incorporate constraints into the AI system to ensure a more equitable distribution of outcomes. Clearly, integrating utilitarian ethics into AI decision-making is a complex task. It requires careful consideration of societal values, vigilance against bias, and a commitment to fairness. It also necessitates ongoing dialogue and reflection, as the right balance is likely to evolve over time. Clearly, integrating utilitarian ethics into AI decision-making is a complex task. Now let's consider some of the challenges and critiques of this approach. While utilitarianism offers a compelling framework for AI ethics, it's not without its challenges and critics. Here's where we delve into the practical difficulties and criticisms of applying utilitarian principles to AI. Firstly, let's consider the practical challenges. The core of utilitarianism rests on predicting consequences to maximize happiness and minimize suffering. But predicting the consequences of AI technologies is no easy task. Take self-driving cars, for instance. While we can foresee some benefits like reduced traffic congestion and fewer road accidents, the full range of potential outcomes, especially those involving complex social and behavioral changes, remains elusive. Moreover, even if we could predict all possible outcomes, how do we measure and weigh the different forms of happiness or suffering that could result? Is the convenience of a personal assistant AI more valuable than the potential job losses from automation? These are not easy questions, and they highlight the difficulty of quantifying and comparing different types of happiness and suffering. Another major challenge is ensuring a fair distribution of benefits and harms. AI technologies, like any other, can have uneven impacts across society, benefiting some more than others. For instance, while an AI-driven healthcare system might improve overall health outcomes, it could also disproportionately benefit those with access to the necessary technology, thereby widening existing health inequalities. So, how can we ensure that the benefits of AI are shared equitably, and its harms are not disproportionately borne by the most vulnerable? Now let's turn to some of the criticisms of utilitarianism in the context of AI. One critique centers on the importance of rights, justice, and individual autonomy. Utilitarianism, with its focus on the overall good, might sometimes justify actions that infringe upon individual rights or autonomy. For instance, an AI surveillance system that invades personal privacy might be justified if it significantly reduces crime. But is this a trade-off we're willing to make? Critics argue that certain rights and freedoms should be inviolable, regardless of the potential benefits. Another critique arises from the very nature of AI as a tool. While utilitarianism is a moral theory designed to guide human action, AI systems don't have moral agency. They don't make moral decisions, they follow programmed instructions. So, is it appropriate to apply a moral theory like utilitarianism to non-moral agents like AI? Critics argue that this conflation might lead to a dangerous abdication of moral responsibility, where we blame AI systems for ethical failings instead of the humans who design and deploy them. Finally, there's the critique that utilitarianism, with its focus on outcomes, might neglect the importance of intentions and processes. In the world of AI, this could mean overlooking the ethical implications of how AI systems are developed and deployed, focusing solely on the end results. This could potentially allow for unethical practices, as long as they produce beneficial outcomes. These challenges and critiques give us food for thought. Let's now look at some case studies. In the next segment, we'll delve into real and hypothetical scenarios that further illustrate the complexities and ethical dilemmas of applying utilitarian principles to AI. Whether you're a seasoned AI enthusiast or a curious novice, these case studies are sure to provoke thought and stimulate conversation. So, stay tuned. Now we're going to delve into some real-world scenarios that highlight the complexities and ethical dilemmas in applying utilitarian principles to AI. Let's start with the realm of self-driving cars. Picture a scenario where an autonomous vehicle finds itself in a situation where a collision is unavoidable. The car has two possible choices: swerve to the left and hit a pedestrian, or swerve to the right and collide with a wall, potentially injuring its passenger. How should the AI make this decision? If it follows a purely utilitarian approach, it might calculate the potential harm to each party and choose the option that minimizes overall suffering. But here's where it gets tricky. What if the pedestrian is an elderly person and the passenger is a child? Does the AI consider their ages, their potential future contributions to society, or is every life equally valuable? Next, we move to the field of facial recognition. This technology is becoming increasingly prevalent in our daily lives, from unlocking our phones to identifying suspects in criminal investigations. But it also brings up serious ethical concerns. For example, let's consider a city implementing a wide-scale facial recognition system to deter crime and improve safety. From a utilitarian perspective, if this system significantly reduces crime rates and creates a safer environment for the majority, it could be seen as a net positive. However, what about the potential misuse of this technology, the invasion of privacy, or the fact that these systems have been shown to have racial and gender biases? These negative impacts may disproportionately affect certain groups, challenging the utilitarian principle of the greatest good for the greatest number. Finally, let's look at healthcare algorithms. AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare, from diagnosing diseases to predicting patient outcomes. But it also presents unique ethical challenges. Suppose a healthcare algorithm is trained to allocate scarce resources like donor organs or ICU beds. A utilitarian approach might prioritize those patients who are likely to derive the most benefit, maximizing overall health outcomes. But what if this means prioritizing younger patients over older ones, or those with fewer health complications over those with more? Is it ethical to potentially sacrifice individuals' health for the greater good? And who gets to decide what constitutes the greatest good in these scenarios? We've taken a journey through the intersection of utilitarian ethics and AI, examining its potential and pitfalls. As we've seen, the core principle of utilitarianism, maximizing happiness and minimizing suffering, can offer valuable guidance in navigating the ethical complexities of AI development. From privacy concerns to surveillance debates to decision-making processes, the utilitarian lens helps us weigh the balance between collective benefit and potential harm. However, we've also uncovered the challenges that come with this approach. Predicting consequences, ensuring a fair distribution of benefits and harms, and preserving individual rights and autonomy, these are all critical factors that need to be considered. Utilitarianism provides a framework, but it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Moreover, we've delved into intriguing case studies, each presenting its unique dilemmas. Whether it's the self-driving car deciding in a split second who to save in a crash, the facial recognition software identifying potential threats, or the healthcare algorithm deciding who gets the last available hospital bed, Each scenario underscores the importance of ethical considerations in AI development. But remember, these are not just abstract, theoretical problems. They are real issues we must grapple with as AI becomes increasingly intertwined with our lives. And this is why it's crucial that we continue to engage in the conversation about AI ethics, to reflect on these issues, and to dialogue with others. After all, AI is not just about technology, it's about us, our values, our society, our future. As AI continues to evolve and impact our lives in ways we can't even imagine yet, we must ensure that our ethical considerations evolve as well. We must strive to steer AI towards the greatest good for the greatest number, while not losing sight of the individual rights and freedoms that make us human. Thank you for joining us in this exploration. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. As AI continues to evolve, so too should our ethical considerations.